So I've been wanting to make a video about guitar soloing for a little while, but rather than just sitting in front of the camera and telling you about, licks or ideas that you could play over certain chords or, looking at famous guitar solos, I figured I'd reach out to two friends of mine, two pro players, Tim Pierce and Corey Congilio. Now, Tim and Corey are the definition of pro players. They're absolute monster players who are chameleons in their styles. They can work in just about any environment and I grew up listening to Tim Pierce, for God's sake. But I wanted to know more about their approach to playing solos. Is their approach more analytical? Are they just thinking about the harmony and the theory that they can use over a certain style or chord progression? Or is it all feel? Do they just work from the top of their head, mostly improvisational, based off of the work that they've done before? I don't know. So I sent them two of my backing tracks to play over. Now, these two backing tracks, I have to say, are from a brand new video course that I'm getting ready to release called the Crafting Tasteful Solos course. This is the newest course in the Fretboard Fundamentals series, but it's basically a 3 to 4 hour course dedicated to getting you up to speed on the fundamental knowledge that I think is important when it comes to playing solos in a variety of different styles. So the course has 4 different sections. Each section has its own backing track in a different style, which is designed to help teach and implement different ideas that we cover in those sections. So again, if you're interested in the course, you can find out more about it in the pre-order link down below. I'll also have links to Corey and Tim's channels down there. If you don't follow either one of these guys, you absolutely should. They're both amazing players and great teachers. So let's jump in and take a look at Corey's solo.
Congilio here. Thanks to Rhett for having me guest on this track and talk a little bit about my approach. I'm going to get this out of the way quickly. I'm suffering from an illness called Bell's palsy, and it's temporary, but it's definitely a hindrance. And it makes the one half of your side of your face not work so well. So I can't really blink. I'm not winking at you. And my mouth doesn't work all the best, but we're going to get through this, and we're going to talk about my approach. Let's talk about the track. It's in E minor. Then it goes to a D, then an A minor, back to E minor. And immediately I think, well, that's the key of G because that's the 6, the 5, and the 2 of the key of G. So that's how I think of it because it's easier for me to think in major keys than it is minor keys. The other thing, when you hear this track from the top, let's hear it. There's that melody guitar, and I have to navigate my way around that. So I have to think of it like that being a singer. And what I'm doing there is just playing, droning that high E string, playing through more of an E minor, G major scale idea. The more important thing I have to think about is restraint, okay? Because I want to rip, I want to go nuts on this song because it's really fun and there's some emotional stuff we can play. It's important because otherwise it's just going to sound really clashy all the way through. Now the song is then going to go to C, then an A major, So what I do here is this is what you want to think about with songs like this. If the song's vibing out on that E minor, D, A minor the whole time through, you could probably just let it rip, like maybe it's an outro section or something. But when the song changes, I like to use this opportunity to really telegraph the chord change. And I think I lead up to it. I'll play that C, then it goes to A, and I really try to telegraph the A chord. I go, and to make it vibey, I'm putting the bridge pick up on, I'm kind of bending. E minor. And then I'm back to E. So I'm really chasing each chord around, even though I'm in sort of a parent chord of E minor / G major. Use all your blues stuff, very David Gilmour. And then I had to catch the C, because that's where the chord change goes to next. And if I wanted to keep soloing, I would have to follow suit, okay? So that's some of my approaches. The biggest thing is when it's a vibey tune like this and you have a melody instrument that you're kind of playing off of, don't go crazy blazing right out of the gates. You kind of can lead the listener along the way on a tune like this, which I encourage you to do. So start as slowly and as basic as you can. Thanks for introducing me to some of your viewers and bearing with me during this weird illness time of Bell's palsy. If you have a weird headache, go to the emergency room and get treated immediately. Thankfully, it wasn't anything worse. It's just a pain to deal with it. But you guys have been awesome, those of you that watch Rhett and also watch me. I appreciate it. And have fun.
Huge thank you to Corey for contributing to this video, and get well soon, man. Go subscribe to Corey's channel down below. If you liked his approach and you liked his teaching style, he's got a ton of amazing lesson content. Now, there's a couple things I wanted to point out though that I really appreciated about his approach to that solo. First of all, the fact that he was thinking in terms of relative major and minor. This is something that I do, and it was reassuring to see a player like Corey do this for me, because as he said, this progression is based in G major, right? But if you notice, he talked about switching between G major and E minor. And this idea comes from relative major and relative minor. We talk about this in the course in more detail, but essentially every major key has a relative minor key and vice versa. Every minor key has a relative major. And what that means is the key of G major, if we play the G major scale, is these 7 notes: G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. We have those exact same notes in the E minor scale, just starting from a different note, starting from E instead of G. So what that means is when it comes to playing or writing a solo in the key of G major, I like to think of E minor on top of that, because as guitar players, typically most of us learned our minor pentatonic scales, our blues scales first. And so that's a more comfortable space for me to think out of rather than the major scale. It's just a way of thinking about it, and I really appreciated Corey's approach to that. The other thing that I loved about his solo is the way he played over the chorus progression. So the backing track over the chorus uses a chord that's not in the key of G major. It's non-diatonic, and that is this A major. That's a 2 major chord, which in the key of G major, if it was diatonic, would be A minor. But I wanted to put that major in there, that major third, because I liked what it did to the chorus. I liked the lift. But the way he emphasized that A major by targeting the major third of A, the C sharp, really emphasized the lift. And, you know, if I was a producer on a session, I had Corey playing that, that's exactly what I would want out of a solo, because that note provides such a lift and like a dynamic to the chorus that is really, really powerful. That bend going from C to C sharp Or down here, the is so cool and so bluesy, such a pro way to outline a chord like that. Great job, Corey. Thanks again, man. Like I said, go subscribe to Corey's channel down below. Go check out his video courses as well. He's an incredible teacher, an incredible guitar player. Thanks again. Now, let's check in with my good friend Tim Pierce and see what he has to play over his backing track.
Okay, a solo like this is perfect for a conversational approach where you play a lick and you leave a space, kind of like you're doing your own version of call and response. So you might play a lick down here, and then the response is up. And then I added some rhythm guitars to this, and I like leaving space to hear those. So you're actually even doing a call and response with the rhythm guitar. If you push it a little further. Stop a lick and then listen to the rhythm. Listen to everybody play. Then I might drop into a double stop thing. Also, always really, really good to repeat a phrase because it creates a tune. The minute you play something twice with a slight variation, you're creating something memorable for the audience to hear. Maybe just do the tail differently, right? I also, in a situation like this where it's bluesy, I like to use octaves. Although I don't think I did that in this solo. There are other times when I like to be really, really aggressive and with my right hand hit really hard. Other times, really, really soft. You play those against each other and you keep a lot of interest, I think. Vibrato is really important. And in this particular key, A minor, it's great to go way up the octave for drama. The other thing about a solo like this, I tend to use the neck pickup. It's just, I like the sweetness of the distortion. Now, sometimes for effect, I'll switch to the bridge. But in general, for a solo like this that's bluesy in A minor, kind of just with a great groove, I kind of like to keep it kind of mellow and use the neck pickup. So I kind of used some color chords for the turnaround of this. G major 7. And for the lead, I would just trace that shape, and then F major 7, tracing this shape. B minor 7 flat 5, I chose D minor as my scale. Because there's kind of a D minor built into that chord. And then for the E augmented ninth, the 5 chord, I just go back to A minor pentatonic blues.
It's days like this where I can't really believe I get to do this for a living now. Tim Pierce is about as pro as they come, especially when it comes to a situation like this. I mean, he's had to do this very thing in so many high pressure situations and sessions and on records for decades and decades. And you can tell by the way that he approaches a track like this. Now, this backing track that he played over is the first backing track. It's from section 1 in the course, and it's intentionally simple. It's just a 1-4-5 blues progression. And the actual backing track, when you pull the guitar out, is just bass and drums. And we did that on purpose to kind of give a little bit more of a blank canvas to the person playing over it. And Tim absolutely took that and ran with it by adding not just the rhythm guitars, but changing the turnaround chords so that he could play over them and do something a little more colorful than just a standard 1-4-5 is brilliant. Also, the way that he and Corey both talk about call and response in your solos. This is such an important thing when it comes to making solos and playing solos that are memorable and that people want to go back and listen to. But Tim takes that concept a step further by not just playing lines that are calling and responding, but playing lines multiple times with slight variations so that they become memorable and they become sort of a melodic element of a song, sort of blending a lead part or a solo with a melody line or a hook. Also, the way he uses space or negative space in his solos when he doesn't play, he's giving the listener a chance to take in the other elements of the song, of the arrangement. Totally pro move. So huge thanks to Tim Pierce for contributing to this video. Link to his masterclass is down in the description box below. He's been doing the masterclass for years and years and years now. And I don't know how many hours of content there is over there, but it's a substantial amount. So if you're interested, go check out Tim's channel and his masterclass down below, as well as Corey's channel and his video courses. I cannot thank both of these guys enough for taking their time to contribute to this video and make it possible. It's one of the greatest pleasures I have in doing YouTube now is getting to know these guys and become friends with them. It's amazing. So thank you, Corey, and thank you, Tim. Don't forget, if you want more information and where you can pre-order the Crafting Tasteful Solos course, it's linked in the description box down below. We're doing special pre-order pricing right now on that course. It'll never be this discounted ever again. So if you want, you can pre-order it down below and check out my other video courses as well as my Inner Circle membership. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, leave a like and a comment down below. It really helps the channel out. My name is Rhett Shull. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, there is no plan B.